The sun had just set. The town of Moonshore had gone quiet, with the only people on its streets being its sparse guard force. It was perfect. An attack at this hour in a town of this size, they didn't even stand a chance. Franziska would have preferred only a small encampment, but she counted herself lucky that it was only a hamlet that had been built over the Hellmouth. Wasting no time, she darted into the town, arcane implements in hand, passing by various windows, peeking momentarily into the lives of the villagers. She caught herself feeling just a little bad for them, for what was about to happen, but now was no time to feel sorry. Her and her superior had been planning this for nearly a year, and there wasn't a peasant in the world that would stand in her way. Their blood would fuel her Dark Master's ascent into the Prime Material Plane tonight, and tonight only. She reached the town center, ducking behind the statue to scrawl her writing on the ground, away from the eyes of the guards. In no time at all, the proper sigils were formed and her heart raced. All that was needed now was the blood and bone of the devoted. She placed her hand on the ground, aimed her dagger, and with barely any hesitation removed her leftmost fingers. Almost instantly, the rune began to glow as her blood seeped along its markings. She gasped. Stumbling back, mangled hand clutched to her chest, watching as gouts of fire began to tear through the rune, preceding a crack in the stone. This crack traced along the town's foundations, shaking the earth and waking those that were asleep and bringing slacking guard to fearful attention. The arrival had begun. Guards drew swords as crimson-skinned, winged creatures began to pour through the gaping scar in the ground. Imps are a CR1 creature with a fly speed of 40 feet, a surprising amount of skill bonuses, and all the benefits gained from being a fiend. Devil's Sight, basically 1,000,000 resistances and immunities, as well as 120 feet of dark vision. Their abilities are all deception-based, consisting of invisibility and shape-changing. Their only attack is a measly 5 average sting attack, however, the poison they deliver can prove to be lethal when applied with the sting. And the guards felt that. With a few quick jabs through the neck and chest, the meager guard patrols fell at the piercing tails of the imps, causing the townspeople to begin to attempt to flee in terror. Their efforts were futile. The dozens of imps began to dart after those attempting to run, pairs of them picking the helpless villagers up and unceremoniously dropping them right over the portal. Their blood fueled the hungry portal as it grew wider. Franziska only watched in a mixture of awe and what she hesitantly recognized as terror. She was only instructed to open the portal. She had no idea what would unfold after she did so. The imps finally finished their morbid task and began to circle around the town center in the sky, beginning an aerial incantation. Those villagers who were cautious enough to stay inside watched in fear as through the Hellmouth crawled yet another beast. The barghest is a CR4 fiend with the fittings you'd expect from a fiendish creature, as well as blind sight, monumental strength, and 4 languages, plus telepathy. They possess the fire banishment feature, meaning anytime they start their turn in fire of a certain size, they must succeed a charisma save or be thrown straight back to Gehenna. As far as attacks go, their melee setup is rather simple. They get a bite and some claws, which both work well with their high speed. They also have innate spellcasting, granting them levitate, minor illusion, pass without trace, charm person, dimension door, and suggestion. A kit of trickery spells that definitely offsets their brutish frame, but they work well when they're in their goblin form thanks to their shapeshifting ability. Barghests also have the surprising ability to feed on the souls of those they kill, trapping them inside them and digesting them over the next 24 hours. Franziska knew almost nothing about these beasts that her master was sending through the portal, so when the barghest began chasing after people and siphoning the spirit from their bodies, she scooted against the wall and let it go to work. The feeling of success for her master being chipped away by pity. Impossible. She felt pity. These new emotions barely had time to register before the Hellmouth roared once more, sending through yet another creature. She scrambled back to a safe distance, watching his large hands gripped the edges of the portal, hoisting forth a massive, tusked creature. An Orthon, more specifically, Malus Yolthak, fiendish general and right hand of the warlock's master. She gulped. An Orthon is a CR10 fiend with a plethora of skill and save bonuses as well as true sight out to 30 feet. Orthons also possess an invisibility field which makes themselves and all items on their person invisible until they attack or are attacked. Their infernal dagger forces the target to make a con save or take massive poison damage and become poisoned. Their crossbow's bolts feature a wide array of effects including an acid bolt, a blindness bolt, a concussion bolt, an entangling bolt, a paralyzing bolt, and a tracking bolt. Finally, as a reaction, the Orthon can use its explosive retribution feature when it reaches 15 hit points or lower, forcing everyone within 30 feet of it to make a dex save as it explodes, destroying itself and all its gear in a blast of fire and lightning. By the time the general had shown up, the town was on fire and almost completely devoid of life, save for the errant villagers that the imps had taken to torturing for their own amusement. Franziska watched on as Malus lumbered over to her, dagger in hand.
Your servitude is no longer required, warlock.
As he began to raise his dagger to strike her down, it all suddenly clicked in her head. She was only the instrument on the outside. Once the great fiend sent his armies through, she would no longer be of any use. There was never going to be any seat at the ruling table of the New World. There was never even going to be protection from the Fiends' flames of conquest. She'd just be another body on the pile. Yeah, not likely. She quickly got up off the ground, dusting herself off. If she was gonna die here, it'd be on her own terms, and she'd want to go down, at least trying to revert the senseless evil she so blindly followed. As the Orthon general blew smoke out of his nose in annoyance, Franziska summoned her packed weapon, charged up an eldritch blast, and planted herself. The general raised his dagger, which would be a sword in anyone else's hands, and charged at her, stone cracking underfoot as they rushed to engage. And their battle will be concluded in episode 9. Yeah, had to split this one up, I know. Next part will be a single monster breakdown though, so if you like those and or like Demon v Warlock fight scenes, stay tuned. I'd like to thank my patrons for their support of this channel, and I'd like to thank all of you viewers for taking the time out of your day to watch this and leave a like. Yeah? What do you think of this episode? I wanted to get back into richer palettes to use for the drawings, and I think I achieved that and a little bit more with these ones. Kinda proud of this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. That's all from me now. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.